Emma Crawford always thought that not being able to talk was what was holding her back. She had been living in a world where she did not say anything for 23 years. Her thoughts were stuck in her head because she could not say them loud. The people in the village where Emma Crawford grew up thought that she was cursed. They would talk about her behind her back. Say that she must have done something bad to the old gods. Then the royal palace of Ashford said they were looking for a night librarian. This person would have to organize the books that were only brought out at night. Emma Crawford thought that this was her chance to get away from the village. The Royal Library of Nocturnum was really something. It had shelves that went all the way up to the top 3 stories high, and they were packed with old books that had leather covers.
The power flows through you now.
These books were so old
Embrace
that
it,
when
let
you
it
touched them,
transform
it felt like
you.
you were touching the past. The moon was shining through the windows and it made the floor look pretty with all the different colors. The floor was made of marble. People had been walking on it for over 1,000 years. Emma liked working at the library at midnight because it was all hers. Nobody was there to give her looks or get annoyed when she tried to talk to them using her little chalkboard. The Royal Library of Nocturnum was hers alone at midnight. Emma loved that about the midnight shift, at the Royal Library of Nocturnum. The girl was all alone, with her books and the quiet. It was so quiet that it felt like she was home. She loved the books and the peaceful silence. The peaceful silence felt like home to her. It felt like the books and the peaceful silence were all she needed. Tonight was the night that marked Emma's month of working at the palace. She had gotten used to doing the things every day. Emma would go to the palace when the sun started to set. Then she would make a list of all the texts until it was morning. After that, Emma would go back to her room in the part of the palace where the servants lived. The vampire nobles who lived in the palace did not really pay attention to Emma. This was just fine with Emma. Emma had figured out a time ago that it is better to keep a low profile and not draw attention to herself. The vampire nobility barely noticed Emma's existence, which suited Emma perfectly. She was putting away some books when she saw something weird. One of the bookshelves in the part of the library that's not open to everyone was a little bit open and she could see a small hallway behind it. Emma had been to every part of the library, or at least she thought she had. The library and its hidden space were really interesting to her because she did not know what was there. The hidden space in the library was calling to Emma with the idea of learning something. Emma put down the books she was carrying and lit a candle. Then she went through the opening. The passage was very narrow, just wide enough for her to get through. The walls had shelves on them with books. These books looked really old, even older than the ones in the part of the library. The candle made the dust in the air shine. It looked like it had not been disturbed in a very long time, probably decades. When Emma got to the end of the passage, she found a room that she had never seen before. She had never seen this room on any map of the palace. The room was circular. Emma had never been in a room like it before. The room was really something. It took her breath away. The mirrors on the walls were covered with cloth. There was a table in the middle of the room. It was made from one piece of stone. There were lots of journals on the table. They were written in writing. Emma really wanted to read the journals. She wanted to know what secrets they held. The journals and the room were hidden away for a reason. Emma was curious about the secrets of the journals. The room was a special place. The mirrors and the table and the journals all seemed important. Emma wanted to learn more about the room and the journals and what they meant. She had just opened the journal when she heard footsteps behind her. Emma spun around. Her candle was almost falling from her hands because they were shaking so much. A man was standing in the doorway. Even though it was pretty dark, Emma knew who he was right away. It was King Nikolai Ashford, the ruler of the realm, and he had been in charge for more than 500 years. The vampire realm and King Nikolai Ashford were very familiar to Emma. He was really tall, not what Emma expected. His dark hair went down past his collar and his eyes were weird. They changed from brown to this silver color. He had on black clothes, there was nothing fancy about them, no signs that he was a king or anything. But Emma could feel the power coming from him. It was like the heat you feel when you stand close to a fire. Emma's heart was beating fast, it was pounding against her ribs. She knew she was in trouble, she was somewhere she should not be. Now she had been caught by this man with the strange eyes. Nikolai said, "Who are you?" in a voice, but Emma could tell he was not a man to be messed with. There was something about the way he spoke that made her feel like she was in danger. His eyes were fixed on Emma's throat. She saw that his pupils got a little bigger. Emma's survival instincts were telling her to be careful around Nikolai. Emma's hands went to the place where her chalkboard should be. She remembered she had left it by the bookcase outside. She felt scared because she could not find a way to say sorry. Emma wanted to show Nikolai that she did not mean to do anything. Nikolai took a step closer to Emma. She saw that something was not right with Nikolai. His hands were shaking hard. He was breathing fast. His eyes kept changing to that weird silver color that made Emma feel uncomfortable. Emma looked at Nikolai's eyes. She felt scared because of that silver color. "He told me that I have to leave." His voice did not sound right, it sounded like he was struggling with something inside of him. "He said I have to go before he does something that the person he is talking to and he will both be sorry about." "The person he is talking to is me. He is talking about something that he and I will both regret, which is why I have to leave now." Emma nodded fast and walked towards the door, but Nikolai was having trouble standing up straight. She did not think about what she was doing. She reached out to help him. The moment her hand touched Nikolai's arm, everything was different. Emma felt something happen when she touched Nikolai. Emma saw his eyes turn silver. They were really silver. His lips went back. She saw his fangs. These fangs were longer than any she had seen on vampires. He moved fast. Emma did not even have time to move away. He was too quick. His hand got tangled in her hair. He tilted her head back. Then she felt a pain in her throat. This pain was because his fangs had sunk into her neck. The vampire's fangs were in her neck. It hurt a lot. Emma tried to scream. Nothing came out. Her voice was completely silent. It had never felt so bad as it did now. The pain was really bad, it was like something was burning inside of her. It felt like lightning was running through her body, like her blood was on fire. Emma's legs could not hold her up anymore. She would have fallen down if Nikolai was not holding her. He was still drinking her blood. Everything was getting blurry for Emma. Something amazing happened then. The burning feeling changed. Of feeling pain, Emma felt a warm feeling that spread all through her body. Her blood felt happy and calm, of feeling like it was screaming. As she was feeling all of this, she felt something completely different. Emma felt emotions that did not belong to her. She felt horror and desperation and a sadness that was so strong it almost broke her. The burning and the emotions and everything else were all mixed up together. It was all so much for Emma to handle. Nikolai pulled back from her fast, like something had hit him hard. There was blood on his lips. His silver eyes were really wide because he was so shocked and scared. "No," he said, his voice shaking. "No, please not. Nikolai's life was not going to be like this." Emma fell to the floor. Her hand was pressed against her neck where she was bleeding. She could feel that her heart was beating slowly. Darkness was coming into her eyes from the sides. Emma thought that this was the end for her. This was how the story of Emma would end. It would be quiet. Nobody would even notice. Her life had been like that too. Emma had lived a life that was quiet and unnoticed, like the way Emma was going to die. Death did not come for her. The burning feeling got really bad. Then it started to go away, leaving this weird warm feeling that tingled. Her heartbeat started to feel normal. Her vision got clear. When she looked up at Nikolai, she saw that he was staring at her with a look on his face that said he could not believe what was happening. Nikolai just kept staring at her with this look of shock on his face. He said to me, "You are alive." Then he asked, "How is it that the person, you are still alive?" Emma touched her throat again, thinking she would find a bad cut. Her fingers found 2 tiny holes that were already getting better. The blood had stopped coming out. The hurt had changed into a throbbing that seemed to beat at the same time as her heartbeat. Emma felt her throat and the heartbeat and the throbbing all seemed to be connected to the holes. The pain from the holes was not bad anymore, it was more like a gentle pulse that was echoing her heartbeat. Nikolai backed away from Emma until his back hit the mirrored wall. His hands covered his face. Emma heard a sound that really shocked her even more than everything else that had happened tonight with Nikolai. The Vampire King, Nikolai, was actually crying. He said that it has been 500 years. His voice was hard to hear because his hands were over his mouth. For 500 years every woman he has bitten has died. They all died in a few minutes. The curse is what makes this happen. You are still alive. You are still breathing, which is really strange because the curse is supposed to kill every woman he bites. The woman he bites always dies. You are not dead, you are still breathing. Emma slowly got up from the ground, her legs were shaky. She could stand. She really wanted to know what was going on with this curse thing. Emma wanted to ask this powerful being a lot of questions, she wanted to know what was happening. Emma just stood there looking at this being who seemed to be falling apart right in front of her eyes. Emma could not take her eyes off this being, it was like she was frozen in place. The door swung open fast and an old vampire ran in. He was wearing a doctor's robe. "Your Majesty, I felt that special blood magic start working. What is going on?" Then he saw Emma standing there and she was definitely alive. His eyes got really big. "This cannot be," he said, looking at the Queen then back at Emma, the girl who was supposed to be dead Emma. Nikolai said, "Get Dr. Helena," without putting his hands down. He also said, "Tell no one about this, Dr. Helena is the only one who should know." Nikolai really meant it when he said, "No one can know about Dr. Helena and this situation." The doctor. Then he was gone. Nikolai finally looked at Emma again. She saw a lot of pain in his eyes. It was like he had been hurting for a long time. "I am sorry," he said in a voice. "I did not mean to hurt you like that. When the blood moon comes up I sometimes do things I do not want to do. I come to this room to be alone. You were here and I could hear your heart beating really loud. I just could not stop myself from biting you, Emma. The blood moon makes me lose control. I was trying to fight it but your heartbeat was too loud and I gave in." Emma. Emma wanted to tell him that she understood what the ancient being was going through. She really wanted to comfort the being because the ancient being looked so broken. The ancient being looked very sad. Emma felt bad for the ancient being. All Emma could do was nod her head and hope that the ancient being understood that Emma was trying to be kind to the being. A woman walked into the room holding a bag with medical stuff in it. She was really something, with her silver hair tied back tight and eyes that looked at everything like she was trying to figure it out. "I am Dr. Helena," she said to Emma, then she turned to Nikolai. "This girl Dr. Helena was asking, did she make it through? See for yourself." Dr. Helena walked up to Emma carefully like you would if you were near something that could break easily. She looked at the bite marks on Emma, then she took Emma's pulse. Listened to Emma's heartbeat with a weird machine. "This is really something," Dr. Helena said quietly. "The bad stuff from the bite has become a part of Emma's body of hurting her. Emma is still a person. The venom has changed her in some way. The venom has made Emma different. Emma is still human and that is what is so interesting about this." Dr. Helena thought that the venom would harm Emma. Instead the venom has mixed with Emma's system. "What do you mean the situation has changed?" Nikolai asked in a voice he wanted to know how the situation with the project had changed, what exactly was different now, about the project. Nikolai demanded to know what was going on with the project. He wanted to understand how the project had changed. I will need time to study her properly. Your Majesty, do you understand what this means? If she survived, the curse might not be absolute. The curse might actually have a way to be broken because she survived the curse. The curse that was supposed to be unbreakable might have a weakness because of her. Nikolai looked at Emma with a face that showed he was hoping for something. He was also really scared. The council is going to ask Emma a lot of questions when they find out about her. They will want to know why Emma is not like people. Emma pulled out a notebook from her pocket, something she always had with her to write things down. She wrote fast and then showed it to them. I do not know why I survived. But I am not afraid of the people. She was talking to Emma, was not afraid of them. Emma was not scared. Nikolai read the words 2 times. His face changed a little. He looked softer. You should be scared of me, he said in a voice. I am the person that everyone thinks Nikolai is. Emma shook her head firmly and wrote again, monsters do not cry. Monsters do not apologize. Dr. Helena read the note. She smiled a little bit. She is right, Your Majesty. Now I have to take her to my chambers so I can keep an eye on her. If the council finds out about this before we know what is going on with the girl, there will be trouble. We need to be ready for the council. What they might do to the girl. Dr. Helena was thinking about the girl. What might happen to her? The girl and her situation were very important to Dr. Helena. Nikolai nodded slowly. You are Emma, is that right? I saw the name Emma on the list of people who work at the library. Emma nodded. She was listening to what the other person was saying. She wanted to show that she understood. Emma was paying attention and she nodded again to let the other person know that she was still with them. Emma felt like she was learning something and she was happy to be a part of the conversation. I owe you an explanation. I really do owe you a lot of things. Before we do anything else, we have to make sure you are really safe. So will you let Dr. Helena take a look at you and make sure everything is okay with you? Emma stopped for a second before she nodded again. What was she supposed to do? She had gotten herself into something bigger than a late book or a secret room. The thing was, she had made it through a curse that had been killing people for 500 years. When she looked into the vampire king's eyes, which were really sad, she knew that her quiet life was going to get really tough. As Dr. Helena led her from the chamber, Emma glanced back at Nikolai. He stood among the covered mirrors, a king who looked more like a prisoner, and she felt that strange connection again. That echo of his emotions in her chest. Whatever had happened when he bit her, it had created something neither of them understood. And deep in her bones, Emma knew nothing would ever be the same. The medical rooms were in a part of the palace that Emma had never been to before. They were really deep down below the floors, where the old stone stopped and even older parts of the building started. There Dr. Helena had a lab that looked really old. There were lots of glass things on shelves and books were piled up all over the place, looking like they might fall over. The air in the room smelled like herbs and something else that was of metallic, which made Emma's nose scrunch up because it was really sensitive now. The medical rooms were full of stuff and Dr. Helena seemed to like it that way, with the medical rooms being her favorite place to work. Sit down in that chair, Dr. Helena said, pointing to a chair by a desk that was messy with papers over it. I have to take some of your blood. The way this venom is working in your body is really strange. I have been a doctor for 300 years. I have never seen anything like this venom before. Dr. Helena looked at the venom. She thought it was very unusual. Emma did what she was told. She watched the doctor get ready with all the tools he needed. She looked out the window that was high up on the wall and she saw that the sky was starting to get lighter outside. The night was. The morning was coming, which meant that the vampire nobility would be going back to their special rooms where they could sleep during the day. Emma knew she had an hour before the palace woke up and all the daytime servants started walking around and they might ask her what she was doing. Dr. Helena was really quiet while she worked. She was taking blood from Emma, looking at the bite marks really closely. She was also writing down some notes quickly. Emma just sat there still trying to make sense of everything that had happened to her. Every now and then she would touch her neck feeling the 2 holes where Nikolai had bitten her. Those spots still felt a bit warm. When Nikolai had bitten her, Emma had felt a connection to him. That feeling was not as strong now. Emma could still sense it a little bit. It was like an echo, in her chest, a feeling of emotions that belonged to Nikolai, not her. "This is really interesting," Dr. Helena said, looking at a bit of Emma's blood under a microscope. "The bad stuff from the vampire has not killed the cells in her blood. It has actually joined with them to make something that Dr. Helena has never seen before. Emma is still making human blood, but now it also has some vampire stuff in it. The vampire magic is now a part of Emma's blood." Emma got out her notebook. She wrote down the question, "What does that mean? I am not really sure what happened. I have some ideas." Dr. Helena leaned back in her chair, took off her glasses to wipe them clean. She did this because she was thinking carefully. King Nikolai was put under a curse a time ago. 500 years ago to be exact. A woman named Rosalind Thorne did this to him. She was a smart and powerful witch. Rosalind Thorne also loved King Nikolai much. He did something bad to her. He married someone, for political reasons. This marriage would make his kingdom stronger. When Rosalind Thorne found out what King Nikolai did, she was very upset. As she was dying, Rosalind Thorne cursed King Nikolai. Emma leaned forward. She was really into the story. The story had her attention. Emma was so caught up in the story that nothing else mattered. Dr. Helena went on to say, the curse was really mean and unfair. If Nikolai bit a woman, she would die quickly. It was not because of bleeding much, but because the bad stuff in his bite was like a poison. This poison would get into her body and make her blood bad too. You see, when a vampire bites someone, it is usually how we make friends with them, how we let them live forever like us. But Rosalind made sure Nikolai would be by himself forever. He would not be able to make someone love him like he did with her. Then hurt her. The curse made it so Nikolai could not make that connection with anyone because of what he did to Rosalind. Emma wrote quickly. I survived. I am still wondering why I survived. The thing is, I am really lucky that I made it through. Emma thinks that she survived for a reason. Emma wants to know what that reason is. Emma is thinking about this a lot. We really need to figure this out. I have been looking into this curse for a long time, trying to find something that can help us. The original curse scroll is still in the archives. The words on the scroll are very clear. It says that if a woman gives her voice to him, his bite will kill her. Dr. Helena's eyes were shining with excitement because she loves learning things. Do you know what this could mean? The curse is talking about the man's bite and a woman's voice, so we need to think about what it means for a woman to give her voice to him. Emma's hand went up to her throat. She felt like she understood something all of a sudden. Emma realized what was going on. That is true. You cannot give something that you do not have. The curse does not affect your inability to speak because it is not part of what the curse is supposed to do. Rosalind planned her revenge around the idea of people talking to each other, of people connecting through words, of all the things she and Nikolai shared by talking and making promises. You are different. You communicate in your way. The curse does not see you as someone it can affect. Rosalind designed the curse to work on people who can speak like Rosalind and Nikolai. It does not work on you because you are not like them. The curse is not strong enough to affect the way you communicate, the way you talk to people, because you do not talk like Rosalind and Nikolai did. Emma sat back. Her mind was all over the place. Her life, she thought that not being able to talk was a bad thing, something that was wrong with her that made her different from everyone else. Now it turned out that this very same thing had saved her life. It might even give some hope to the Vampire King, who had been suffering for a really long time, 500 years to be exact. The Vampire King had been dealing with his problems for long. Now Emma's silence might be the thing that helps him. The woman is wondering if the curse can actually be broken. She wants to know if there is a way to stop the curse from affecting her life. The curse is something that has been on her mind for a time, and she really needs to find a solution to it. Can the curse be broken is the question that she keeps asking herself about the curse. Dr. Helena looked really serious. It is possible. To break a curse we need some specific things to happen. I have been looking into this for a time and I think I have found something that might work. I will need you to help me, and we will have to be careful because it is not going to be easy and there is a lot of risk involved with the curse breaking. Before Emma could write another question, the door opened. Then Nikolai walked in. You could tell he was royalty because of the formal clothes he was wearing. He was not alone, 2 other vampires came in with him. There was a woman with light blonde hair and blue eyes that looked cold. She was wearing a dress made of deep purple silk. The other vampire was a guy. He had glasses on and was carrying a lot of books. He looked like someone who liked to read and study. Nikolai said, "This is Lady Seraphina Blackthorn," and he gestured to the woman. Lady Seraphina Blackthorn is someone he clearly respects. Then he said, "This is Thomas Green, who's Nikolai's historical advisor." Nikolai trusts Lady Seraphina Blackthorn and Thomas Green completely. They are among the people Nikolai trusts. Nikolai told Lady Seraphina Blackthorn and Thomas Green what happened. Lady Seraphina looked at Emma with a face that was hard to figure out. It was not mean or anything. It was like she was thinking really hard about something. The lady who does not talk and lived through it all. That is really something. Lady Seraphina sounded like someone who was born into a family. Your Majesty, the council is going to want to know what happened when they find out about this. Lady Seraphina and the people in charge need to come up with a plan. The council will ask Lady Seraphina and the people in charge a lot of questions about Emma and what happened to her. Nikolai went to stand next to Dr. Helena's desk. He looked at Emma. "I know what you are thinking," he said. "First I need to know what happened to Emma. Emma, when I bit you I felt something. It was not the blood. I felt all your feelings. You were scared, I knew that. I felt something else too. It was like you understood me or something. Did you feel anything like that when I bit you, Emma?" Emma wrote, "I felt your sadness. Your shock at what you thought you did was really tough to deal with. It was a lot to handle. Your grief was very strong." Nikolai's jaw tightened. "That should not be possible," he said. "The curse is supposed to stop people from connecting with each other. The curse is designed to keep people alone, to make sure they are isolated from everyone including each other, and that is what the curse does. It prevents genuine connection and ensures isolation, which is what the curse is all about, isolation. Unless," Thomas said, flipping through one of his books, "the curse is getting weaker. Maybe someone is finding ways around the curse that Rosalind did not think of." Thomas found 3 stories about curses that had surprises. These surprises happened when the curses were used in situations the person who made the curse did not think would happen. The curse is like that, Thomas thought. The curse is getting weaker. Someone is getting around the curse in ways that Rosalind is not aware of. Thomas has found these 3 stories about the curse and he thinks the curse is like that. Nikolai said, "Show me." He really meant it. He wanted to see something. He wanted to see it now. Nikolai was not a person and he did not like to wait. "Show me," Nikolai said again, this time louder. Thomas and Dr. Helena started talking about magic. Lady Seraphina walked up to Emma. She said, "Tell me, girl, what do you want to get out of this situation? Do you want the king to be thankful to Emma? Do you want Emma to have a job? Is it the money that Emma wants?" Emma looked into her cold eyes and wrote, "I want to know what happened to me. That is all I want to understand about what happened to me." Serafina said, "This is surprisingly easy to understand." The way she said it made it seem like she did not really think that. She told him that he needs to know that the fact that he is alive has to do with politics. There are families of vampires who have been trying to get Nikolai to get married for a long time. The fact that he exists makes things more complicated for them, for these families and their plans, for Nikolai. Emma had not thought about politics before. She said that she is a librarian, at the library where she works. Emma thought to herself that being a librarian is what she does and politics is not something Emma is involved in. Emma likes being a librarian. That is what Emma wants to focus on. Serafina said to me, "You were not anything after that bite happened to you. You became something. You are important now whether you like it or not. What you do with this importance is what matters. It will show if you are a help or a problem to others. If the survival of that bite made you an asset or a liability." Serafina told me the survival of that bite is what made you important, and now you have to deal with being important, and that is a thing, being important, like that. She meant that the survival of that bite changed everything for me, and now I have to think about how my actions will affect others, because the survival of that bite made me important, and important people have to be careful. They have to think about what they do, and that is what Serafina was trying to tell me, that the survival of that bite made me important and now I have to be an asset, not a liability. The survival of that bite is what made me important. Before Emma could say anything, Nikolai called Emma over to the desk. Nikolai looked really tired, which was weird because vampires do not need to sleep. The fact that Nikolai was so old, centuries old, was clear from the lines around Nikolai's eyes. "Dr. Helena thinks she has found a way to get rid of the curse," he said in a soft voice. "Dr. Helena needs something from you to do it. Dr. Helena needs something that he does not feel okay about asking for." Emma picked up her pen. Thought to herself, what is going on here? Emma was really confused. She did not know what to do. Emma looked at her pen. Then she looked around the room. Emma was still thinking, what is this all about? She thought to herself, what does it all mean? The curse can be broken if I am forgiven by someone I have harmed. This someone has to be a person who survived my bite. They have to choose to be kind to me instead of being angry. The forgiveness has to be real. It has to be complete. The person has to say it loud, into a special mirror that has magic in it, and they have to do this when there is a new moon. Emma looked at the words she had just read. These were the words she had to say out. The one thing that Emma could not do was say these words loud. Dr. Helena spoke in a voice. "I have looked at the way your voice works. There is nothing wrong that would stop you from talking. The problem is with your nerves. The connections between your brain and your voice are not working right. They never really formed properly. Now that the venom is inside you, it might be possible to make those connections happen. The venom might help create the pathways between your thoughts and your voice so you can speak." Nikolai said, not in a really sharp tone. He does not want to try anything on her. Nikolai will not take any chances that might hurt her more just so he can break the curse that is on him. The curse has been on Nikolai for 500 years now. Nikolai can just keep living with the curse like he has been doing. Emma sat down. Wrote really fast, her hand was shaking so much. She asked herself, what if I want to try something like this with the thing I want to try? Everyone turned to look at her. Nikolai shook his head. You do not understand what you are offering. The process could go really wrong. It could hurt you badly, and that would be forever. Even if it does work, saying those words of forgiveness would tie you to Nikolai in ways that you just cannot imagine. The magic would make a connection between Nikolai and you that could never be broken. Nikolai is talking about a strong connection that would be between Nikolai and you. Emma wrote, I know you learned how I talk by reading my notebooks. Now I want to try to learn how you talk by listening to your voice. If this works, then I can break the curse that's on you. If it does not work, then the curse will still be on you. Nothing will be different. Nikolai said this quietly. Everything in life changes. You have changed everything around you by making it through this difficult time. Surviving has changed everything. Lady Seraphina cleared her throat. Your Majesty, the time is getting short. The sun will be up soon. The people who work during the day will be coming in. We have to find a place for Emma before people start asking questions about Emma. We do not have a lot of time to waste, so we need to move Emma. Nikolai nodded. He did not seem very happy about it. Emma, I have rooms for guests in the part of the palace. You will stay in those rooms. I will keep you safe while we try to decide what to do next. Is that okay with you, Emma? Emma nodded. She did not have a lot of options. Her little room in the servants' quarters was not going to be a place if vampire nobility showed up and started asking questions about Emma. The vampire nobility would probably find Emma no matter what. Dr. Helena gathered her notes. Thomas collected his books. Then Emma found herself with Nikolai for a brief moment. Nikolai looked at Emma with an expression that Emma could not quite understand. Emma felt like she did not know what Nikolai was thinking when he looked at her like that. The man looked at me. Said, "Why are you not scared of me?" He said this in a quiet voice. Emma wrote, I think that fear and understanding are like two things that cannot be in the place at the same time. I am trying to understand things. Fear and understanding just do not go together. I want to understand fear and the things that are causing it. So I am trying to understand. You're either very brave or very foolish. Emma wrote, I do not see why I cannot be both things. At the same time, can I be both? Emma asked herself. For the time since she met Nikolai, Nikolai smiled back at her. This smile changed Nikolai's face. It made Nikolai look like a man, like he did not have so many problems. Yes, Nikolai said to her. I suppose you can do it, Nikolai told her. The guest rooms were really fancy compared to anything Emma had ever seen. They had silk curtains, a bed that could fit 4 people, and shelves that were already filled with books from the library. Someone had clearly thought about what Emma would need and got it right. The guest rooms were so nice that Emma felt like she was treated like royalty or something. The guest rooms had everything Emma needed. Over the few days, Emma got used to a new daily routine that felt really weird. She would spend her mornings with Dr. Helena. Dr. Helena would give Emma all these tests and examinations. The doctor thought that Nikolai's venom might help Emma talk again. So Dr. Helena was making a plan to give Emma amounts of Nikolai's venom. The doctor believed this could help Emma's brain work better and maybe even help her speak. Afternoons were for Thomas. He was the one who taught Emma about the history of vampires and magic. Thomas also explained the way the court worked. Emma found out that Nikolai had been in charge for a long time, 500 years. He did a job, but he did not let anyone get close to him. The curse had an effect on Nikolai. It made him very careful and cold. He was afraid to get close to people because he did not want anyone else to die. Emma learned that vampire history and magical theory were a part of what Thomas taught her. The intricate politics of the court were also important for Emma to understand. Nikolai was still the one in charge. Emma was learning more about him every day. Nikolai's time was in the evenings. He would come over after the sun went down. You would always know he was coming. Nikolai always brought something with him, like books or papers or questions he wanted to talk about. Nikolai and Emma would talk to each other through her notebooks. They would fill up the pages with all sorts of things. They would write about ideas like philosophy, or they would write about poetry, or they would just talk about what was going on in their lives, which were really different from each other. Nikolai said one evening he was sitting across from her in the study area of the chamber. He had been thinking about what she wrote. Nikolai thought about fear and understanding. He spent 500 years being feared. People saw him as the monster in stories, the tale. Nikolai had forgotten what it felt like to be understood. He had forgotten what it was like for someone to really get Nikolai. Emma wrote, being understood is really different from being known. I know what people think of you. I want to understand the person that you are, not just what everyone says about you. So what did you find out? Emma thought about this for a time before she wrote, you are a lonely person. You have put up walls that reach so high you have even forgotten what it is like to let someone get close to you. You use the fact that you're powerful and you keep people at a distance to protect yourself from getting hurt again. Deep down you are still the man who feels bad and cries when he thinks he has hurt someone. That is the person I am trying to understand, the man who cries when he thinks he has killed someone. That's the person I want to know more about, the man who feels things deeply. That is what I am trying to figure out about you, the man who is still hurting. Nikolai read her words 2 times. For a moment he looked really sensitive. He said, you see much. Emma wrote, you make it easy for me. You are not as guarded with Emma as you think you are with Emma. You are the person in a very long time who does not want anything from me. All the noble families want something to help them with politics. All the advisors want to have power. Every single vampire who comes to talk to me has something they want to get from me. But you are different, you just want to know more about me. This is a change and it also scares me at the same time. The fact that you do not want anything from me is something that I am not used to. It is nice to have someone like that around vampires like me. You just want to understand vampires, like me. That is what makes this so scary and nice. The conversation between them was interrupted by Lady Seraphina's arrival. Lady Seraphina swept into the room without knocking on the door and her face looked really grim. Lady Seraphina did not seem happy all. Your Majesty, we have a problem on our hands. People are talking about Emma being alive. The Council of Elders is not happy. They want a formal meeting to discuss this. They want to look at Emma, ask her questions and figure out if she is a danger to the community. They are specifically concerned about Emma and what she might do to the society. The Council of Elders is demanding to know more about Emma and her situation. Nikolai stood up fast. This woman does not pose any danger to anyone, Nikolai said. Nikolai is looking out for her, so she is safe with Nikolai. The council members do not care about what we think. 3 of the council members are already standing at the palace gates. They are demanding that they be let in. You have the option to refuse the council members. That will only make the situation worse for us. We need to deal with the council members and face whatever it is that they want. The council members are not going to go, so we need to talk to the council members and find out what they want. Emma's stomach was all tied up with worry. She had learned about the Council of Elders from Thomas. The Council of Elders were old vampires who were around even before Nikolai. The Council of Elders thought of humans as nothing than something to eat. It was going to be very scary to meet the Council of Elders. The Council of Elders were not people to be taken lightly. Nikolai turned to her. You do not have to do this. The council and their rules can be scary. I can send you away to a place that's safe for you, somewhere the council will not think to look, and you can stay there until the council loses interest in you and the council is not a problem for you anymore. Emma shook her head. Wrote, running away from the problem will not solve anything. Besides, Emma wants to hear what they have to say about the thing. Nikolai said that I am not as brave as Nikolai is. Nikolai said this in a voice. Nikolai thinks that the other person is very brave. Nikolai is talking about being brave. Nikolai is being honest about how Nikolai feels. Nikolai said that the other person is braver than I am, and Nikolai means it. The council hearing was held in a room that Emma had never been to before. This room was round. It had 13 old chairs made of stone. These chairs were arranged in a half circle. Each one had a very old vampire sitting in it. These vampires looked like they were made from the old stone as the chairs. The vampires watched Emma as she walked in with Nikolai, Dr. Helena and Lady Seraphina. Their eyes followed Emma everywhere she moved. The council hearing room was a serious place and Emma could feel that the vampires were all looking at her. The vampires were all sitting in their stone chairs watching Emma and the people she came with, which were Nikolai, Dr. Helena and Lady Serafina. King Nikolai, the old vampire said, his voice was really rough. He sounded like rocks moving. You are in trouble because you did not tell us something. There is a human who's still alive after you put a curse on them, and this human is right here, with us. You never told the council about this human. The King Nikolai Council needs to know why you kept this secret from the King Nikolai Council. Nikolai said this in a voice, I was gathering information before making any announcements. He wanted to make sure he knew what he was talking about. Emma's survival is very important. It requires careful study to understand Emma's survival fully. Or maybe you were trying to hide a spot, another council member said. The human is able to survive your bite. What does that say about the curse's power? What does it say about your ability to be in charge of the vampires? The curse's power is what makes you strong, and if the human can survive your bite, that means the curse's power is not as strong as it seems. The council member was questioning your fitness to rule the vampires. Emma felt Nikolai get really tense beside her. This was not just about Emma staying alive. This was about Nikolai's power, his job, everything Nikolai had worked for, over 500 years. A woman who was, on the council, had unusual silver eyes, and she was staring at Emma. Listen, Emma, you have to tell us the truth. What are you exactly? Emma got out her notebook. The vampire kind of waved his hand like he did not want to see it. We do not have time to wait for you to write things down. You need to tell us your answers loud, the vampire said to Emma. The vampire wanted Emma to speak up and give him her answers. Emma's hands were tight around her notebook. She looked into the vampire's eyes. Then she opened her mouth to speak. No sound came out. Emma's throat was. Her lips were making words, but she was still silent. The vampire's eyes stayed on Emma. She tried to talk. All that came out was nothing. Emma's voice was. Silence was all that was left. Dr. Helena said that the woman is mute. The woman cannot talk out loud. The woman has to write down what she wants to say. Dr. Helena explained that this is how the woman communicates. The woman uses written words to express herself because she cannot speak verbally. The guy, with the silver eyes, who was a vampire, spoke in a cold tone. How nice, he said. The human who could not talk was still alive even though the curse was supposed to kill them with a voice. I want to know something, King Nikolai. Did you plan all of this? Did you come up with a plan to make it seem like the curse is not working as well as it used to? Nikolai said that is ridiculous. He has spent 500 years dealing with the problems caused by Rosalind's curse. Why would Nikolai create hope for Nikolai himself? I think that maybe false hope is helpful, in some way. Maybe it is because some important families are trying to get you to marry someone, and this person who survived gives you a reason to say no to them. This person who survived is an excuse for you to refuse these families. Emma wrote fast and pushed the notebook forward. She said, I am not part of any scheme. I am a librarian who was in the place at the wrong time. That is all. Emma is a librarian. She knows that. The librarian, Emma, was in the wrong place, at the wrong time. The eldest vampire read her words and then he actually laughed. It was a sound that was like rocks grinding. The wrong place at the time, that is what happened to her. How delightfully mundane this whole situation is. The thing is, her survival has created ripples throughout the vampire society. Other humans might believe they too could survive bites just like her. The vampire fear that vampires have carefully maintained for long might be undermined, and that is a big deal for vampires. Lady Serafina said this calmly. One person is still alive. That does not change how dangerous vampires are. The fact that Emma is still alive actually shows that it is very rare for people to survive. Emma is not like people, she is an exception. Lady Seraphina thinks that what happened to Emma does not set an example for people. Lady Seraphina believes that vampires are still a threat because Emma is an anomaly, not something that will happen to other people. The council members talked to each other in voices that were too quiet for Emma to hear. Then the oldest one spoke up again. The council members were still talking about something and the oldest one spoke up again. The human is going to be able to stay under King Nikolai's protection for a while. We need to get updates from King Nikolai on how the human's doing all the time. King Nikolai has to tell us if the venom is doing anything to the human. The human cannot try to get rid of the curse without us knowing. The human is not allowed to leave the palace without the council saying it is okay. These are the rules and the human and King Nikolai have to follow them. The rules are not going to change, so the human and King Nikolai have to do what we say. Emma felt like she was in jail and people were deciding what would happen to her. She said okay. It is better to be stuck in a place with people watching you than to be dead because you are something that people do not understand. Emma thought that being a confined guest was not great. It was better than being a dead curiosity, like Emma. Nikolai's hand touched her shoulder for a moment as they walked out of the room. I am sorry, he said quietly. Nikolai felt that she deserved better than what was happening. Nikolai wanted her to know that he thought she was worthy of something. Emma wrote, I made it through an old curse that was 500 years old. I can make it through politics too. That night Emma was by herself in her nice rooms. She let herself think about how bad things were for her. She had gotten into something that was way bigger than she was. She did not know what would happen next. It scared her. The bad stuff in her blood made her connected to Nikolai in ways that she just did not get. The council was always watching what Emma did. Somewhere in the old records room in the palace there was a special mirror with magic powers. This mirror could help get rid of a curse if Emma could just speak up and say what she needed to say. Emma put her hand on her throat where the bite marks had turned into 2 scars. She could feel Nikolai in the palace because they had a connection. Emma felt that Nikolai was really lonely. He had a lot of things to deal with. He was hiding the fact that he still had hope. Emma knew that Nikolai was trying to be strong. She got out a notebook and started writing. This was not about writing down questions or things she noticed, it was about making a promise to herself. She was going to find a way to help him to break this curse, to show that being quiet can be more powerful than saying anything. If that meant she had to learn how to make noise for the time in her life, she would find the strength to do it. She would learn to make sound to break her silence to help him and to prove that silence is not the only way to communicate. The notebook was her step and she was going to fill it with her promise to help him to break the curse, to make her voice heard even if it was just a whisper. The new moon was 3 weeks away. That is when everything has to be done. Emma had to do something that seems impossible. She had dealt with things before. Just being herself was a challenge because people expected her to talk. The new moon was a deadline for Emma to achieve the impossible. It was like a wall that she had to climb over. Emma was ready to face this challenge because she was used to doing things that people thought were impossible for the moon. And this time, she wouldn't be climbing alone. The next 2 weeks were really crazy. Emma had a lot of treatments and she was studying really hard. Every evening Dr. Helena gave Emma some of Nikolai's venom. She put a drops under Emma's tongue and it made her body feel really weird, like there were sparks everywhere. Dr. Helena thought that the venom was helping Emma's brain work better. It was making connections between the parts of Emma's brain that thought of words and the parts that controlled her voice. Dr. Helena believed that Nikolai's venom was building bridges between these parts of Emma's mind, and that was a deal for Emma. Progress was really slow. It was getting to Emma. She could feel things changing inside of her, like feelings in her throat that she never had before. When Emma tried to talk, nothing came out. All that came out was air. It was like her breath was making fun of her. It was so frustrating because she could not say a word. Emma felt like progress, with her voice, was not happening, and that was hard for Emma to deal with. Be patient with yourself, Dr. Helena said when things got really tough. Your body is figuring out something it has never done before. Dr. Helena told me that it is going to take some time for my body to learn this thing. Time was really the one thing they did not have. The new moon was. It was going to happen no matter what. This was the chance for Emma to break the curse for another month. Emma worked hard. She practiced for a long time in her own rooms trying to get her voice to come out. She wanted to make sound come from her throat. It was not easy because her throat had never made a sound before. The new moon and the curse were always on her mind. Emma was trying to do everything she could to break the curse. Nikolai came to see her every evening. He would watch her try to do things. He felt hopeful. He was also worried about her. Nikolai and Emma had found a way to talk to each other that did not need notebooks. They would make movements with their hands or look at each other in a certain way. They could tell how the other person was feeling because of the venom bond between them. Emma really liked it when Nikolai visited her. She liked it more than she wanted to say. Nikolai and the venom bond had become something Emma thought about a lot. She thought about Nikolai and the way they could sense each other's emotions through the venom bond. Nikolai told her one night, "You need to stop doing this." He saw how tired she was. It was clear in her eyes. "This thing you are doing, it is not worth making yourself so unhappy and tired over," Nikolai said. Emma wrote stubbornly, "Your freedom is really worth fighting for and putting in the effort to get it." Emma believes that freedom is something that's very important and people should work hard to have it. Emma thinks that having freedom is worth all the trouble you have to go through to get it. What if I do not want to be free if it means you get sick? He sat down beside her on the soft velvet sofa. He was sitting close that she could feel how cool his skin was. "I have had to deal with this problem for a long time, 500 years. I can just keep dealing with it. What I really do not want is to see you getting hurt because you are trying to fix something that's not your problem." Emma put her notebook down. Looked straight at him. These few weeks she had gotten pretty good at figuring out what he was feeling by looking at his face. She could see the changes in his expressions that showed how he was really feeling even when he tried to keep it inside. Now Emma could tell that he was scared. It was not the curse or the council or anything like that that was scaring him. He was scared of starting to care about Emma, of letting himself feel hopeful and then losing it all again. He was afraid of letting his feelings for Emma get the best of him. She picked up her pen. "What if I am not doing this for you? What if I want to speak for myself?" She thought about her pen. What she was going to write with it. She was thinking about what she wanted to say. It was not just about you. She wanted to say things that were important to her, things that she wanted to talk about. What if she was doing this for herself, not for you? She wanted to speak for herself. Nikolai's face looked a little less serious. "Do you want to talk to me?" Emma thought about this question carefully. She had been quiet for 23 years. That was a big part of who she was. The thought of talking out loud seemed weird, and it even scared her a little. Being able to choose whether or not to speak, being able to express herself in a way that she never could before, that was something that Emma found very tempting. The idea of speaking was still pretty scary. The idea of having the choice to speak was something that Emma really liked. She wrote, "I do not know. I want to find out if I can. The curse breaking is really important, yes. This is also about figuring out what the curse breaking is all about, for me, and what I am capable of when it comes to the curse breaking. Nikolai said this to me in a voice. He told me that I am already capable of doing some amazing things. I did something that no other person has ever done. I met nobility and I was not scared. Nikolai said that I made him feel a way that he thought he would never feel again because of a curse that happened 500 years ago. Vampire nobility is something that would scare people, but I was brave. Nikolai felt something that the curse had taken away from him a time ago, and that is because of me." Emma's heart skipped a beat. She picked up her pen. Wrote very carefully, What do you really feel? What is going on with you? What do you feel about this situation? What do you feel? Nikolai's hand went up to Emma's face. It stopped close to her cheek. He was asking if it was okay to touch her. He did not say anything. Emma tilted her head a bit and moved closer to Nikolai's hand. Then his hand wrapped around her face. It felt really gentle, which was a feeling. Nikolai's palm was cool, on Emma's skin. The way he touched her was very soft. It made her feel something strong. He said, I have hope. There is something else, something that is even more dangerous. I am not supposed to feel this way considering what I am and the things I have done. Emma's hand covered his hand, keeping it pressed against her face. She did not need him to say the word loud. She felt love through the connection between them, that growing warmth that was scary and wonderful at the time. Love was a danger for both Emma and him. For Emma, loving a being like him meant she would have to accept that she would lose him someday. For him, the curse had taught him that loving someone would only lead to death and sadness. Emma and him both knew that love was not easy for them. Love did not ask if it was okay or wait for a time. It was there. It grew when they talked to each other, in the way he figured out what she meant when she was quiet, in the trust they made when they wrote to each other. Love was in the spaces between what they said. Lady Seraphina burst through the door. That was the end of the moment. Lady Seraphina usually had a face, but now she looked really worried. She said, I am sorry to interrupt, but something is happening. Lady Vivian Frost is at the palace. She has a formal proposal to get married. Nikolai stood up fast and his hand dropped away from Emma's face. He said, Vivian? I have said no to her family's ideas for a long time, for decades actually. I have refused the family's proposals, from Vivian's family. The woman is not going to accept no from you this time. The Frost family archives have been brought by her. She says she has found something in the past that says she can try to marry you through a special test. If you say no to her, it could cause a fight between the Ashford family and the Frost family. The woman says this test is a ritual of worth and she is really going to try to win your hand. The Ashford and Frost families could have a blood feud if you do not agree to this ritual of worth with the Frost family woman. Emma knew a lot about politics by now. She understood what it meant when vampires had a fight over blood. This kind of fight, a blood feud, would cause problems for all the vampires. It could make the whole place very unstable. Lead to a lot of violence that could go on for a very long time, like hundreds of years. Politics and blood feuds were very serious business for vampires. Nikolai's jaw clenched tightly. He asked the question that was on his mind. When does she want to do this ritual? He wanted to know about the ritual. Nikolai was thinking about the ritual. He wanted to know when she planned to perform the ritual. Tomorrow night is when it will happen. She has said that the person you are with your human friend needs to be there to see it. Emma got up. Went to grab her notebook, but Nikolai told her no. He said, this is not your problem, Emma. I will take care of Vivian. Emma said strongly, if she is demanding that I be there, then it is already my problem. What is the point of this ritual anyway? Emma wants to know what this ritual is about. Lady Seraphina said that to be worthy, a person has to show the vampire they want to marry that they are good enough. This is called a ritual of worth. Lady Seraphina explained that it can be done in ways. Usually the person has to show that they are powerful, smart, or can think well. Vivian will tell Nikolai why she thinks she should be his queen. If Nikolai does not have a reason to say no, then he has to say yes. This is because of tradition. If he says no without a reason, it will be like insulting Vivian's family. Lady Seraphina said that Nikolai has to accept Vivian as his queen if he cannot think of a reason to refuse her. The ritual of worth is very important to vampires, like Nikolai. Vivian wants to marry Nikolai. She has to prove herself to him. Nikolai said, I have a reason. He did not love her. Nikolai never loved her. The fact that her family has an old bloodline does not mean anything to Nikolai when it comes to real feelings. Nikolai wants to be with someone he really cares about. Her family's old bloodline is not important to Nikolai. What matters to Nikolai is feeling. Nikolai needs to be with someone he loves for real. Serafina said this in a dry tone. She told them that for 3,000 years vampires have been doing things away. People getting married for reasons is just what vampires do. Having feelings for someone is not usually an enough reason to say no to a marriage that would be good for the family or the group. Vampire tradition is very important to vampires. Emma's mind was really racing. She wrote down her question: can someone talk for you during the ritual? What if someone wants to say something against what you think? Can they do that? Yes, that is true. The person would have to be very important and able to argue against Vivian's arguments with the same amount of strength as Vivian. They would have to be someone who can really stand up to Vivian and match her point for point. It would have to be someone who's as good at arguing as Vivian is. Emma looked at Nikolai steadily. Wrote, "Teach me what to say. I will speak for Nikolai." The room was completely quiet. Nikolai looked at Emma with a lot of surprise. "Emma, you are not able to talk all, and yet you are speaking in front of important vampire people saying very complicated things about politics." She wrote firmly, "I have 2 days before the moon. I was going to try to break the curse. This gives me more reason to do it. If I can speak for the curse-breaking ritual for you, it shows that I am more than just something interesting for people to look at. It shows that the curse-breaking ritual. I have real value to you during the curse-breaking ritual." Nikolai said to me, "You already have value. That is a fact." He looked at me roughly. Added, "You do not need to prove anything to anyone at all. You are fine the way you are, value and all." Emma shook her head. She knew a lot about politics by now. Emma understood that the vampires would always ask her questions and see her as a weakness for Nikolai. This would happen unless Emma showed them that she could take care of herself around the vampires. This ritual was a chance for Emma to show the vampires what Emma could really do as a human who did not have any powers like them. The next day was really crazy. Thomas and Emma spent all this time looking into Vivian Frost's family history. They wanted to find out what made them weak when it came to politics. Dr. Helena gave Emma more of those venom treatments. This was to help Emma's body work faster and get her brain working better. Meanwhile, Nikolai worked with Emma for a time. He was helping her learn how to say the words she needed to say. They practiced each word over and over until Emma's throat hurt from trying hard. By afternoon, Emma could make small sounds. She was able to whisper. It was a soft sound, but Emma was actually speaking. Each word was really hard for Emma to say. She had to think carefully about what she wanted to say, but Emma was able to say the words. It was slow. It hurt Emma to talk, but Emma was talking. "Nikolai." She said his name quietly for the first time, and Nikolai's eyes got really big with surprise. He said again, speaking in a voice. "Nikolai." Stronger this time, more certain. He took her in his arms. Held her gently like she was something that could easily get broken. "You are amazing," he said softly into her hair. "You are really amazing." Emma knew that whispers would not be enough. She needed to speak up, to say things loudly in front of people. Emma had to do this in a short time. She had only hours, not days, to learn what Emma should have been practicing for months. Emma wanted to make sure that people could hear her, that they could understand what Emma was saying. That evening, Lady Serafina was helping Emma get ready for the ritual. She put a deep green dress on Emma. This dress made Emma's eyes look really bright. Lady Serafina also did Emma's hair. It looked very nice. When Emma looked in the mirror, she could hardly believe it was really her. Lady Serafina and Emma were getting ready for the ritual. Emma was wearing this beautiful deep green dress. Serafina said this in a voice. "You do not have to say anything," Serafina told her. Nikolai would be okay with it if you decided to not say a word, Serafina said. Emma shook her head. She was able to whisper, I want to try with the thing that Emma is talking about, which is this new attempt that Emma wants to make, and Emma really wants to see if it will work for Emma. Serafina. You could see the real warmth in her eyes. This was different from the way she normally acted, which was really cold. Then let's show them what a mute librarian, like Serafina, can do. The room where they did the rituals was full of vampires. They all came to see what Vivian Frost was going to do. Vivian Frost was standing near the platform. She looked pretty in her light blue dress. Her white hair went all the way down her back. It looked like a river of ice. Vivian Frost was. She seemed very sure of herself. Then Emma walked in with Nikolai. Vivian Frost was still standing there looking beautiful and confident. Vivian said, this is the human. She looked at the human. Said, I thought the human would be more impressive. Her voice was loud. People in the room could hear what Vivian said about the human. Emma looked at her calmly. Whispered, expectations often let us down. The room was filled with whispers. Vivian's smile was not as confident as it was before. She said, the person who does not speak is going to talk. This is very interesting. I want to hear what the mute has to say when the ritual happens. The ceremony started with an old and formal style. Vivian presented her case in a smooth and confident way, talking about what her family has done, the important people they know, and the good things that would happen if they got married to another family. She talked about her family's history and the things they have always done, about doing what you are supposed to do and having control over things. Vivian said all this to show why a marriage between her family and another family would be an idea. She kept talking about her family and the good things they would get from this marriage. When she was done, the oldest member of the council looked at Nikolai. Is there someone who will talk for Nikolai to disagree with what was said about Nikolai? Emma took a step forward before Nikolai could say anything. Her legs were shaking. She made them stop. Everyone in the room was looking at Emma as she walked up to the platform. The people were all staring at Emma. She was the center of attention now. Emma stood there waiting for something to happen, her eyes fixed on the people around her and the platform in front of her, where Emma was now standing. The woman said, I speak for King Nikolai. She spoke really quietly. King Nikolai was still the one she was talking about. Her voice was soft. People in the room could still hear her because it was so quiet in there. Vivian laughed. You can hardly say a word. How do you think you can respond to what I'm saying about this? I mean, how do you think you can counter my arguments? Emma took a breath and tried to be brave. You talk about tradition and bloodlines, she said. You talk about the things that come from being friends with powerful people and making smart deals. These things are important to vampires. I am not saying they are not. Emma looked at them. Said, vampire society values these things. Her voice got stronger as she said each word. The connections in her brain that Dr. Helena had helped make were working better and better. When you talk about getting married, you make it sound like a deal. It is like a business agreement between two families. You do not talk about the person you want to marry. You do not talk about King Nikolai like he is a person. You just talk about his title and his crown. You just talk about King Nikolai as King Nikolai, not as someone you actually care about. King Nikolai is a name and a position to you, not a person with feelings. Vivian's face became really strict. She said, emotion is a thing. A king needs a queen who knows what she has to do. A king needs someone who sees him as more than a person to follow, Emma said. She sounded really sure of what she was saying. For a long time, 500 years, Nikolai has been in charge by himself. He has been alone for 500 years because of a curse. This curse happened because Nikolai did something bad to someone he loved. He chose to do what was good for him politically, of being with someone he really cared about. Nikolai has learned that this was a bad choice. She looked at Nikolai. saw that he was full of wonder and love. Nikolai had a look on his face. She said to him, "You are giving him a life that's very lonely, but it looks nice because it has fancy things and it follows the rules. The queen you want him to have will stand next to him when he is king. She will never really understand him." This is what the curse wanted for Nikolai, to be alone forever. It will look like he has a good marriage. The curse wants Nikolai to have a marriage that's not really a marriage, it wants him to be lonely. You are giving Nikolai what the curse wants, a life where he is alone, but people think he is happy because he has a queen. The room was really quiet now. Emma kept talking, her voice was easy to hear. She sounded very sure of herself. "I am a being. I will get older and die. He will stay the same. I do not have a family with a lot of power. I am not important to anyone in politics. I am not useful to anyone who wants to get ahead. I know Nikolai. Not the king, not the curse, not the old vampire who has been alive for 500 years. I know the man who gets upset and cries when he thinks he has hurt somebody. The man who took a lot of time to learn how to understand me when I was not talking because what I had to say was important to him. The man who has forgotten how to have hope is learning to have hope. He is trying to find hope in the world. The man is taking steps to learn about hope. Hope is something the man is working on every day." Emma looked straight at Vivian. "You can give him a long time of things being calm and steady in the world of politics. I can only give him a time of really understanding him. The thing to think about is what kind of he wants to deal with. Does he want to be in charge but have no one, or does he want to have memories of being close to someone to help him get through all the years after I am gone?" Emma thinks that this is a decision for him to make, and it is about the kind of life he wants to have with Vivian or with Emma. He has to choose between being powerful with Vivian or being happy with Emma. Tears fell down Emma's face as she talked to Nikolai. Her voice was shaking, but she kept going. "I do not want you to pick me over what you think you should do," Emma said. "I want you to pick what is best for you. I want you to choose to be happy even if it does not last, of being alone, and that is what people think you should be. Happiness is what I want for you, even if it is, for a little while, not being alone all the time." The silence was really quiet for a long time. Then Nikolai stepped up onto the platform. He stood beside Emma. His hand found Emma's hand. He took it. 500 years ago he chose power over love. He said this loud, and his voice was loud enough for everyone in the room to hear. He got married to get in life, not because he was in love. This hurt someone who really loved him. Because of what he did, something bad happened to him. This bad thing has been a part of his life for a long time. He does not want to make the mistake again with love and power. He will not choose power over love this time. He will do things differently. He turned to Vivian. "You have everything that a king could possibly want. I am more than just a king. I have spent a long time, 500 years, figuring out that having power is not everything. If you do not have people you care about, it is like being dead. Lady Vivian, I do not want to hurt your family or make you feel bad. I want to say this nicely. I am saying no to what you offered. I mean no disrespect. My heart, which has not felt anything for a long time, belongs to someone else, the person I care about." Vivian's face showed a lot of emotions. She was shocked, then she was angry. Then she just gave up. "You picked the human," she said. "The human who will not be around for long. They are weak. Will be gone before you even know what happened to them." Nikolai said, "I want to live, not just be alive." He meant that he wants to have a life that's full, even if it is not very long. "I choose to live instead of just exist," Nikolai replied.